You're on mute.
I always do that, I swear. I was saying that you guys could go on to opening up your Google document for warm-ups, and then we'll get started on that here in just a second. So. Okay, we're gonna give it till 27 and then we're gonna get going with or without people. Okay, let's get started. Just trying to get everyone assigned here. You should open a new document or use the same document for warm-ups that we were working on the last couple times. Just maybe draw a line across indicating that those are old warm-ups and now we're going to be starting new ones. So we can kind of keep organized that way. Okay, I got some people coming in here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start the warm-up. So pull up that page and remember you're doing N1. Caden, you're a little distracting there, so either shut off your computer camera or pay attention. Okay, so grab this. Okay. So a couple things with warm-ups that I've noticed is that you have to have caps and ends and complete sentences. And if you don't do those real simple things, then you don't get points for them. And you already took time to do them, so do them right. And then I'll only do N1 questions. So I have some people that are doing like all of the questions. You're only responsible for the nutrition questions. That's it. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go through them and do them completely, proofread them, because it's like I've said before, it's a pain to have to say for everything that you do that you forgot caps and ends, or you have to write a complete sentence, or you did all the questions and you only have to do N1. So if you just do your job, then my job is a little bit easier than to have to write that 130 times. All right, so here we go for the warm-up. You should have your document open, and we're going to go ahead and start. So here we go. As soon as it pops up. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, start. 2 minutes. About 1 minute left. Thirty seconds. Okay, time should be up on that. Before you get rid of it, make sure you have a capital and a period and a complete sentence. So in the Google Classroom for this assignment, I put an example here. If you can see this, this is how a warm-up should be written. So this is just a random question. What are the 3 C's when you come upon an emergency scene? And the answer in a complete sentence with caps and ends is the 3 C's in an emergency are check, call, care in that order, period. Okay, so some of the question is in my answer and that I've answered it completely and I have a capital and a period. So a lot of you are missing those basic things, and I was thinking that you learn capitalization and periods in around 2nd grade. At least that's how I remember it, that I learned it back in those times. So, you know, there really shouldn't be an excuse at 9th through 12th grade why you aren't capitalizing and completing a sentence and putting a period at the end. So, pretty easy assignment, but some of you are making it really hard. Cut it out. All right. So I do want to go over a little bit some like maintenance things. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but as I grade things, if they come in late or not, I have not been taking any late points away. So I'm just telling you that when we have the final assessment, which will probably be maybe next week or the following week, after that test day, the very next day, it'll be worth half credit, anything in the unit. And then after the next day, I won't accept anything in the unit. Okay, so just keep that in mind for future of what's up and coming. Because, like I said, I've been accepting things right along for full credit, even though they're late. But after the assessment, I will not. So keep that in mind. Okay, I do also want to go over the lab sheet or the demo page because I have a lot of people not filling it out correctly, and I wanted to show you how easy it is. Okay, so I'm going to take a student from this class, and I'm going to use their demo page, which I have gotten permission to do so. So let's go into our Chewy Granola, and I'm going to pull up a student's Chewy Granola. Okay. So, Connor, can you see my screen? Connor Lee?
Yeah.
Okay, checking. All right. So this is how easy it is to do a demo page. Title up here. You have to put the ingredients and the how much, okay? So when you write a 4th cup, it's in a fraction. It's not 4th. Okay, that's not, I've never seen a recipe that's written with a 4th. Okay, so make sure, I don't care if you use abbreviations like a big C or TSP or TBSP, but what I don't want to see is a 2 with a TH. Okay, or no, it wasn't, it was they said half. Okay, write it in a fraction form. Okay, so you have to have all the necessary ingredients and how much. Okay, if you don't do that, I take points off. then you have to have a reasonable list of things that I use. So if you got 3 items and I use like 8 or 10, that's not a reasonable list. So I'm going to take points away for that. Just disregard this. This is a error on my part, but for directions, you have to be very specific. So this person says, in your mixing bowl, measure your 2 cups of oats and dump in, I think it was mixing bowl. Yeah, dump in the mixing bowl. Measure your 1 cup of Rice Krispies to the mixing bowl and measure a 4th cup of coconut and dump in with oats and cereal mixture. Once you add the coconut, stir the ingredients around. Okay, so you told me where to put it in a bowl. You told me what 3 ingredients to mix. Now the second direction is that in a saucepan over medium heat, you're going to melt the butter. And then you're going to add honey, brown sugar, salt, and you're going to get everything kind of blended up and you're going to boil it. So like right here, there's a lot of extra stuff, but it's a good written up recipe. Use the rubber spatula to get the honey out. Once you dump honey and brown sugar and salt, stir. And then once the mixture boils, you're going to let it boil for 2 minutes. And then you're going to pull it from the heat, measure out the vanilla, pour that in there, and then mix it all together using your rubber spatula, adding chocolate chips once it cools down a little bit in an 8x8 pan, and you're going to put it in the refrigerator for 20 minutes, okay? Either use bullet points, but see how this person capitalized the first word, whether it was a sentence or not, and then had a bullet point here. You know, that's how a recipe looks when it's written, okay? And then down here, you got to make sure you answer the questions and make sure that you highlight the answers. So like down here, make sure these get highlighted. I don't take points off for highlighting right now, but eventually I might. And these also need to be in complete sentences. Capitals, periods, you know, we're not back in 2nd grade where you're learning how to write for the first time. You've been doing this now for a very long time. So these expectations are not unreasonable. Any high schooler, middle schooler should be able to write a complete sentence with a capital and a period. So this is how simple it is. And a lot of you are getting the hang of it, but there's some of you that are still lagging behind. And, you know, look at the example that I left on the page if you have questions, because that's why I give an example so you can look back at a resource and see how they did it. And then you do it in a similar fashion, okay? This week, I'm kind of toying with doing, and I'm going to leave it up to you. I'll let you guys decide for the rest of the nutrition classes, but I'm thinking about either doing monkey bread or banana bread. So out of those 2, does anyone want to wager like what one they would prefer? Or how about in the chat, if you want banana bread, put a 1, and if you want monkey bread, put a 2. So that I can kind of see how you see what your preference is. Banana bread is 1. Think of it as the B in the alphabet. Monkey bread is lower down, so that would be your 2. Okay, so it looks like most people want monkey bread. That's what we'll do then, monkey bread. All right, so that'll be on our Wednesday when you will have the demo sheet for monkey bread. Does anybody have any questions about the demo page and how that's supposed to work? Okay, very good. All right. So now we're kind of getting close to ending the unit, but we're going to talk about sanitation a little bit. So today's question was, what does USDA stand for? Does anybody know what USDA stands for? Any of the letters? Do you know any of the letters for that matter?
Of USDA?
Yes.
United States Department of Agriculture.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so Tyra had that perfectly. So basically what they're looking at is, you know, how poultry, meat, egg products and keeping them safe from contamination. That's like their primary function. And so in today's lesson, we're going to learn a little bit about different acronyms like FPA, things like that, and what they're responsible for. So today's PowerPoint or slideshow is going to be noteworthy. I don't have a guided note page. These are things that you're going to have to know for the test, and it's going to be important for you to write them down. Okay, so I'm showing you this PowerPoint. Not everything that I'm going to say is on my slide, so just kind of be aware of that. But you can improvise anything of what I say in your notes, and then always remember that notes are for you. So if you try to write them down for word, I don't know that you'll be able to do that in the time that we have. So just try to get as much down as you can, or read it through and then see if it makes sense, okay, and put it in your own words. So hold on, okay. All right, so does anybody have anything before we start that? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started on the PowerPoint. I'm gonna ask Kaden if you would be willing to be an MC, just to, if there's anything in the chat, or if you can't see or hear me, can you just do that for me? Kaden, are you there?
Which one?
Oh, is there more than one?
Yeah.
You.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll do it.
Okay, thank you. I don't see another Kaden. Where is there another Kaden? Oh, Kaden Guthrie. He left, so it's all you, buddy. At least I don't see him on here.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty, so here we go with safety and sanitation. Remember that, if it was me, I'd have my Google Doc ready so I can write down things as I see them. And then if I miss something, remember there's always my YouTube channel that you can go to and replay, fast forward, rewind, stop. They have a lot more tools that are handy for, doing those kinds of things if I'm talking too fast, or you don't catch something on my notes or something like that. Okay, so that might be helpful to you. All right. We're going to talk a little bit more about food safety and sanitation. There will be a project at the end of this that I'll probably assign to you the next time I see you. So just know that that's up and coming, and we'll talk about it the next time we meet with each other. Okay, so you have to be able to define foodborne illness. So when we talk about foodborne illness, it's a disease that's transmitted by food. And this was one of your questions from last week. I don't know if you remember, but it's also known as food poisoning. So there are people that will say that they got food poisoning from maybe a restaurant, or they have traced it back to a certain food that they purchased at the grocery store or something like that, okay? So that is what foodborne illness definition is. And then if I go too fast, just put in the chat, slow down or something, and then Kaden will let me know I need to slow it up. Okay, so if you have taken science, I'm pretty sure you know what bacteria is, but it's a single cell microorganism that lives in soil, water, and or the bodies of plants and animals. And you guys can, always use shorthand too when you can, find out a little bit of a different way to write something that makes sense, but a shorter version. Anyone still on the bacteria slide? Put a 1 in the chat and Kaden will let me know that you're not ready. Okay, a contaminant is an undesired substance that unintentionally gets into food. Undesired substance that unintentionally gets into food. Okay, so the word spoiled is any food that has lost its nutritional value and quality characteristic due to decay. So I'm sure like you've left something out on your counter and it's spoiled. Okay, so its nutritional value is going to drop. I'm sure you probably wouldn't even consider eating it because you can actually see the decay on it. So, like one thing that comes to mind would be like bananas, they turn. Caden, is there any ones in that chat? And am I going at an okay speed?
Yeah, you're doing good.
Okay, thanks. Okay, a toxin is a poison that causes an illness. A virus, a disease-causing agent that is the smallest type of life form. Remember that bacteria are usually treatable and viruses have to run their course. Okay, food safety. The food supply in the United States is one of the safest in the world. Sanitation means keeping everything that comes in contact with food clean to help prevent disease. So you got to maintain, the conditions that they're clean, like a cleansed area. And it is important to double check dates on product packages and purchase foods that appear fresh and wholesome. So typically, I don't know if you have ever gone to get milk or something like that at the store, but I have. And sometimes I think maybe one time I went in and I grabbed, I was in a hurry and I grabbed the first milk I saw and they forgot to pull it. So when milk is past its date, it's called a pull date. And that means the store has to pull it from its shelves. It doesn't mean that it's bad, but they are not legally able to sell it. So like, for example, if you have milk in your refrigerator right now that says the 27th, okay, that was yesterday, it doesn't mean that that milk is bad. It just means that the stores are not allowed to sell it after that date. Usually milk has a couple days or so left before it tastes sour. And that's something that you would have to use some of your senses to detect. I would look at it first, I'd smell it, and then if I had to, I would probably just taste a tiny little bit. And then, discard it if it is spoiled. Okay. Okay. So, what you need to get from this slide is that, the United States has a very safe food supply. Sanitation is when you keep things clean, and just know that it's your job to double check dates. Probably, if I would have taken that milk back and been like, this is spoiled, they would have given me another one. But by the time I got home and all that, I didn't want to run all the way back to the store to get a new thing of milk, so I just basically flushed it. Keep me honest on those ones, Caden, if I need to know. Okay, so consumers should always put away perishable foods first and keep eggs in their original carton. So, for example, like back in the olden days when I was growing up, in the refrigerator, there were actually spots for eggs. I don't know if any of you have ever seen an old refrigerator, but there were actually indentations in the door where you would take the eggs out of the carton and put them in there. And they no longer have refrigerators like that because that's not where a good temperature is to keep those eggs at the temperature they need to be. Okay, so they want you to keep them in their original containers and put them in the refrigerator. Okay, you should always wrap or cover all fruits from the refrigeration or freezer when you store them. So most time you'll either use like a freezer bag, aluminum foil. You can even double those up if you need to. So if you're just putting it in the refrigerator, you could have an airtight container. You could put saran wrap over the top. But your refrigerator should be 40 degrees Fahrenheit or lower, and your freezer should be 0 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. So sometimes my kids, when they open the fridge, it doesn't shut all the way, and then it's open, and then that temperature is rising up, and that's when bacteria can start setting in. Or if the freezer is left open, which is a lot of times that happens too, again, the temperature is rising, and those foods are thawing out. And foods that are frozen, thaw out, and get froze again, that's not a good combination. Okay, that's when things can be a problem. Foods that spoil quickly, are milk, cheese, and meats. So those are just some foods that you want to keep an eye on because they're very perishable. They don't last a long time. Okay, so foods that do not require refrigeration should be kept in a cool, dry place. So some people put them on a windowsill. Some people put them on their counter. Things that I think of would be like any type of fruit. Usually, too, however they display them at the store is how you should display them at home. So like bananas could go on the kitchen counter, things like that. Cross-contamination is when bacteria from one food is transferred to another. So like, for example, if I was cutting up meat on my cutting board and then I brought over, like, let's say I was going to make a salad and I was using the same cutting board for my lettuce, then that would probably be cross-contamination because you got the chicken with the lettuce, and that's going to not be a good thing. So temperatures between 60 degrees Fahrenheit to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, that allows bacteria to grow extremely rapidly. We call that our danger zone. So keep that in mind when you are working with food. Most time places, specifically restaurants and grocery stores, will have to temp things. So they basically have a sheet and it has like the food product and what its temperature is. And they have to frequently check that because, if they check something and the temperature was up, it could mean that that freezer or that cooling system is defective. And that's the only way they might determine that, and everything in there has to be thrown away because it's not at that temperature where it's safe. Okay. And it's better to be safe than sorry. So they wouldn't want to sell to a consumer and then have that consumer get sick just because they were trying to save money by not throwing away, a full freezer full of food product. So that does happen. Okay, never eat raw or partially cooked meats that have not reached the appropriate internal temperature. So when you order a steak at the restaurant and you like it rare or medium, they're not cooking it all the way to where it should be, and so you kind of run a risk there. So just be careful and cautious with that. Some people want their meat to be more juicy and not tough, and you run the risk of that. Okay, so ground meat and pork should be about 160 when it's cooked, and beef about 145. If you're cooking poultry, then 180. Hot food should remain at a temperature of 140 or higher. And then cold foods should always remain at a temperature at 40 degrees or lower. So like if I was gonna, like if you went to a graduation and they were going to have potato salad at that graduation and they just set it out on the table without providing it with ice or maybe some coverage with cooling system type around it, that's going to be the danger zone, and that's going to start breeding bacteria, and that's going to cause a lot of people to possibly get sick. So you just got to be really careful and cautious. Okay, so as a consumer, you should thaw frozen meats in the refrigerator under cold running water and use the defrost method in the microwave. Never leave meat to thaw on a countertop just because you can't regulate it. You could leave it there in the morning and think by the time I get out of work, it'll be defrosted, but you don't know how much time has elapsed from the time it completely defrosted till the time you got home. You know, it could have been 3 hours, you know, it could have been 20 minutes. So it's just not a good plan. You're running the risk of getting people sick if you do that, okay? So refrigerate it, you know, take it out a couple days ahead of time, refrigerate it. Yeah, you could try running it under cold water and defrosting it that way, or all microwaves do have a defrost button. It will bring it up to temperature. Gradually, you just got to rotate it around because sometimes one side will cook faster than another, and then you have chicken that's partially cooked and partially frozen. So just be careful of that one. Okay, so this is kind of the breakdown of the acronyms. So I think it was Tyra already told us what USDA stands for, United States Department of Agriculture. The FDA is Food and Drug Administration, and other agencies devoted much of their resources to the study and research of keeping food safe to eat and free from spoilage. And then prevention, wash produce prior to use, cooking foods thoroughly, avoid unpasteurized milk, and sanitize. So from this research, recommended rules and regulations are established. The emphasis is placed on packaging and how to preserve and store foods by canning, freezing, dehydrating. Canning uses heat, processing, freezing uses cold temperatures, dehydration uses the removal of water to inhibit growth of microorganisms. So what I would put down for you is get all those acronyms down: FDA, USDA, and you know, how you can prevent as a consumer from getting sick. Caden, are we good to go?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So this is more on foodborne illness and what happens. So foodborne illness can affect people differently. So it can affect you because of your genetic makeup. Your age and overall health may be a factor. How your body reacts to the foodborne illness can be a factor in all of those. So genetic makeup, your age, your overall health can affect how your body's going to respond. Who do you think are more susceptible for foodborne illnesses? Like what type of people do you think? This is a question out there. Who do you think is more susceptible to foodborne illnesses? If it has to do with genetic makeup, individual age, overall health, what age group probably would have a problem with foodborne illness? Anybody out there in Cyberland? How about
Kathy said boomers.
what?
Yeah.
I
So,
said
like,
what?
grandmas and grandpas.
Okay. Did you call them boomers?
That's what she called them. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, okay. Yes, older people. Okay, what's another age group that might have difficulty?
Very young people, like
Okay, yep.
newborns.
Yep,
and,
very good. Yes, yes. Okay, so I'm going to reveal those. Okay, so infants and children were yes, elderly or boomers, whatever you want to use. Pregnant women. So you look at infant and children is that their immune systems are young and developing. Pregnant women, their body is focused on the development of a new individual. So less on, immunizing them per se. Elderly, their bodies are kind of wearing down over time, and so they're not as well protected as they were back when they were young. Substance abusers, same kind of thing, is that their immune system is being damaged by whatever substance they're using, and that's causing their immune system to be less available. And then obviously immune disorder, you can understand why that might be an issue, okay? So make sure you have those down in your notes. Okay, so foodborne illness produces an array of symptoms that range in severity. Does anybody know any symptoms? Like, can you think of anything that would associate food poisoning?
salmonella, however you say it.
Okay, what would be a symptom from that?
Diarrhea.
You got it. What's another one?
Puking.
Yep. Anything else that comes to mind? Okay, well, you hit on the two that are the most common. So just a couple other ones are stomach cramps, kidney failure, and above all, hospitalization can all be signs and symptoms. Okay, prevention is the best approach to foodborne illness. So, washing your hands, proper sanitation, cooking foods thoroughly. Despite best practices, family members may still experience foodborne illness at some point in their life. Okay, so even though we do everything that we can within our power, it doesn't mean that we are 100% protected. We have this bubble around us that's going to protect us, okay? But we're doing everything we can to prevent that from occurring. On our project assignment, there's a couple videos that I want you to watch before you start in on the project. And one of them is this little boy. I want to say he was a toddler, so I'm going to say maybe around, I don't know, 4 or 5. He ate a couple hamburgers and they weren't cooked all the way through. And I believe he developed E. coli, foodborne illness, and it eventually killed him, unfortunately. But his mom was kind of advocating and trying to, bring attention to the E. coli issue, and so she went to the government and things to try to raise awareness and try to put policies in place to protect consumers so that wouldn't happen to somebody else. And so you'll be able to watch that the next time we're together. Okay. So did I do the right one? So individuals can often treat mild symptoms at home. Severe symptoms and people in high-risk groups do require treatment from a physician. If foodborne illness is suspected, the local health department should be contacted so that they can find out if somebody else has been affected, where they were affected, and either find the product or shut down the restaurant or what have you, to try to protect other consumers from getting sick. So for this one, I would just say that, symptoms can be anywhere from mild to severe, and some people will be hospitalized, and it does need to be reported. Any ones, Caden?
Nope.
Okay. So when reporting foodborne illness, individuals are expected to provide key pieces of information in case the product needs to be recalled. So they need to include in their report where the food was purchased, the number of people who consume the product, the manufacturer's name and address, and identification of which processing plant. Sometimes there's a batch number on the product that they can search and figure out exactly what batch is contaminated so that they can track it and figure out what stores it went to so they can pull that product from the shelf. All right. I do have a little video here, and it's probably not going to play because I'm not in the right spot to be able to play it for you. So let me see if I can get out of this. No. I'm sure you couldn't hear that, could you? Caden, could you hear that? Caden, did you hear it?
What'd you say?
Did you hear the video?
No.
Okay, I didn't think you did. Okay. So I'm going to try to get it to play. So let's see. Caden, I'm going to need you to let me know if you can hear it.
Okay.
Can you see it on my screen?
Yeah.
All right, let me know if you can hear it.
Yeah. I can hear it.
I just saw a patient with a serious case of foodborne illness, or food poisoning, as most people call it. Foodborne illness has a wide range of symptoms and can go from something I ate doesn't agree with me to being bad enough to cause a serious health problem, or even death. And most foodborne illness symptoms don't present right away. It often takes 24 to 48 hours after eating the contaminated food. But in some instances, the incubation period may be longer. Based on what this patient told me, we aren't sure if it's from a restaurant or from food she prepared at home. That's why I make sure my patients understand that everyone has a role to play in ensuring food safety. Farmers, food companies, transporters, retailers, consumers, and the government. In fact, the FDA issued regulations to carry out the FDA Food Safety Modernization Act of 2011. This was the most sweeping reform of food safety laws in more than 70 years. The new rules require food producers to do more to identify and prevent problems before they might happen. And they set science-based safety standards for growing, harvesting, and packing produce. But sometimes contaminated food still reaches consumers, and the government can't regulate how consumers handle food. That's why we all need to know how to minimize the risk, especially for our patients who are at higher risk. Pregnant women, young children, older adults, and people with immune systems weakened by illness or medical treatment. Being smart about how we shop for food can do a lot to help prevent exposure to the two most common foodborne agents, viruses and bacteria. When it comes to foodborne illness, most of us think of undercooked meats and eggs, but raw fruits and vegetables can pose a risk. So can lunch meats and deli-type salads. There are a few things you can do while at the grocery store. Check the sell-by dates. Use plastic bags for raw meat and poultry, and keep them separated from the other groceries in your cart. And only buy pasteurized dairy products and juice. Food recalls happen when contaminants are discovered in food products. They happen almost every day, and these foods could be almost anything. They range from fresh produce to peanut butter to meat and poultry. It's important to know that there may be nothing you as a consumer can do to make these foods safe. The best thing to do if they are recalled is just throw them out. For a list of current recalls, go to foodsafety.gov. Keeping the family safe is a priority in any household. So here are 4 basic steps to prevent foodborne illness in the home. Wash your hands often with warm or cold water and soap for at least 20 seconds before and after handling food, using the bathroom, changing diapers, or handling pets. Cleaning fruits and vegetables is important in order to get rid of soil that may remain on the produce. But there are a variety of other reasons to clean. Bacteria, viruses, or parasites can be on that produce as well. So make sure to rinse all produce thoroughly under cold water to help reduce your risk, and use a vegetable brush, especially on fruits and vegetables that have a skin or rind that won't be eaten. Rinse produce before you cut it, because if there are bacteria, viruses, or other disease-causing microorganisms on that skin, and you cut it with a knife, that knife can carry that pathogen right into the fruit. Clean your cutting boards and other surfaces between preparing raw meat, poultry, seafood, or eggs, and preparing foods that won't be cooked, like salad veggies, so you don't contaminate the other foods. Or use separate cutting boards. Just as you separate your raw meat from other groceries in your shopping cart to avoid cross-contamination, do the same thing in your refrigerator. Never put raw meat, poultry, seafood, or fresh eggs anywhere where they may contaminate ready-to-eat food. I'm gonna put this chicken in the fridge to marinate for a couple hours, and I don't want it to be above or near my veggies, just in case the bag leaks. Some people like to reuse marinades for sauces and gravies, but never reuse marinades that were used with raw meats, unless you bring them to a boil first so that you kill any pathogens. Food is safely cooked when it reaches a high enough internal temperature to kill the harmful pathogens that cause illness. There are different safe temperatures for different foods, so check out the minimum safe cooking temperatures chart at foodsafety.gov. It's very handy. Once you know the temperature your meat should be cooked to, check it with a food thermometer. While the chicken is cooking, I want to talk about refrigeration. You should refrigerate or freeze meat, poultry, eggs, seafood, and other perishables within 2 hours of purchasing or cooking. Cold temperatures slow the growth of harmful bacteria. But don't overstuff the fridge. Cold air needs to circulate to keep food safe. Your refrigerator should be 40 degrees Fahrenheit or colder, and your freezer should be 0 degrees Fahrenheit or colder. A lot of refrigerators don't have a temperature gauge. Many just have a dial that says colder or warmer. So get yourself a thermometer like this one. I'm pretty sure this chicken is done, but I'm gonna check it with the meat thermometer. And check that the meat is reaching the right internal temperature in several different places, so you know it's done. If you're like me, you love filling the house with family and friends and feeding them tons of food. So when you're prepping that big family dinner, never thaw food out on the counter, because that allows pathogens to multiply. You can thaw in the refrigerator or in cold running water, or you can use the microwave. But if you do, you'll have to cook the food right away. These methods take time, so make sure you plan well and give your food plenty of time to thaw the right way. If you have a buffet set up for your guests, you need to make sure cold foods stay cold and hot foods stay hot. And when you're with family and good friends, it's easy to sit and talk for hours and forget that the food is still out on the counter. So make sure you put foods away within 2 hours to keep it safe. You don't want those delicious leftovers to make you sick. Leftovers can be kept in the refrigerator for 3 to 4 days or frozen for 3 to 4 months. Although safe indefinitely, frozen leftovers can lose moisture and flavor when stored for longer times. As you can see, with these steps, we can keep food safe, healthy, and fun. If you should become ill and think that the cause may have been foodborne, report it to your primary care provider or your local health department. And for even more information about safe food handling, preparation, and useful tips, go online to fda.gov/food. For information about safe food storage, try the FoodKeeper app at foodsafety.gov.
Okay. All right. So I do have something I want to give you before you leave. So I'm gonna go grab it and we're gonna put it in our classroom for 5th hour. Okay. So it's going to be a worksheet that kind of goes over what we talked about today. And I got to get it in here, so hold on. Okay. So let me open it to show it to you. Whoa. Okay. This is going to be due on, let's see, Wednesday right before class. So our class is at 12:25, so it's going to be due at 12:20. Oops. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I'll show it to you right now so you can kind of see it. So Caden, you probably can't see what I'm doing, can you?
No.
Okay. Here we go. All right. So this is your assignment, food at home and on the go, and this is what it looks like. So what you have to do is read the following statements about food handling practice at home and away from home. If the statement is true, if the statement is true, write the word true in the blank. If the statement is false, change the underlined word to make the statement true and write the correct word in the blank. So, I am almost done with this. I forgot I have to do a couple underlines yet, but that's what you are to do. And just put a T or F and then tell me what the underlined word should be. Okay, if the underlined word is wrong. And can I get, let's see, Ember, can you just recap that for me? Just tell me what I just said.
You said that we need to tell you if the underlined statement is true or false, and if it's false, then you have to fix it.
Right on. I wouldn't delete anything. I would just maybe in a highlight or something write the correct answer so that I know that you attempted to correct it. Okay, any questions? Okay, so Tyra, can you also tell us when this is due?
Wednesday before 12:20.
Excellent. Okay, fantastic. So you can stick around and work on this. We have, I believe, 6 minutes that we can work on this. And if you have questions, I'm right here to help you answer them. But this is the assignment I'm handing to you right now. So I'd like you to work on it for the remaining time that we have. Okay, so take a moment. And I know I'm still like rushing through trying to get all my underlines in. So just give me 1 second. I'm almost done. I got one more to go. I got interrupted when I was doing this the other day. Okay, I hope that works. And if not, let me know. But yeah. So can somebody open it and can you tell me if my underlines are there? Oh, you know what? I didn't assign it, so that's another reason why you're not seeing it. Okay, here it comes. Kidding. All right. Now, Tyra, will you open that for me and see if you can, if my underlines are there for me?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you. Because if not, I'll have to take it out and then fix it and then put it back in. Okay.
Yes, your underline words are there.
Thank you, my dear. Okay, so take the last 4 minutes and work on that before you depart. I'm just looking at attendance again just to make sure all that we're here at the beginning or here at the end. So just kind of hang tight. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Nolly, Kirsten, Tyra, any questions? Are you guys good?
Oh, I didn't even know we could leave.
Well, you couldn't, but I got back here and everyone was gone. I'm like, okay. I
I didn't
appreciate you
even
staying
hear
here.
you or anything.
Get your work done.
Have a good day.
We'll see you later.